Hey there, Leo. Welcome to your reading. This is your November 2025 bonus reading. You have this Clean It Up card and this To the Sea card. You get a lot of these readings that, kind of want you to leave a comfort zone, basically. And this To the Sea card kind of represents going places you've never been before. I kind of feel we already have some good cards of like blessings here. Empress, even though she's crossing, she is your crossing energy in the Celtic cross. She can still represent blessings. And here you go. You have this gift of money card. That looks nice here, Leo. So, again, there could be some like blessings coming in for you. And the Ace of Wands also, the Ace of Wands can sometimes be like thinking of a blessing. It's normally like a passionate new beginning or, kind of cutting something out of your life, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But I kind of feel like you're at least dreaming of some blessings or, there could be blessings about to come in for you. So let's see what comes up. In your current general energies, you have the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups can be a perfect match. There's a little bit of love here, but, whatever. Not really a love reading yet. Although anytime I say that, usually I get a million love cards. But, if you want love, could be a perfect match. Two of Cups is usually a person who's different than your usual type. So if you're looking for love, definitely could be a different type of person. Two of Cups is also you and your higher self. And it is a very spiritual month. We have Neptune retrograde, which even retrograde Neptune is very spiritual. I think people forget that Mercury retrograde, which Mercury goes retrograde on the 9th. Mercury retrograde is very spiritual as well. So, especially when it comes to talking to yourself. Talking to your higher self, which, this card represents communication with your higher self, right? So this right here is the Staff of Hermes, which is Mercury. And I think it would be a great time for you to tap in any way that you possibly can. It's like your higher self could be even guiding you towards like some blessings or a blessed opportunity entering into your life. It's also interesting that in the area of your closest relationships, you have the Wheel of Fortune. So again, this could be a blessed connection that's coming in for you, and it doesn't have to be love. It could just be a soulmate. Like friends can be soulmates, I believe, or just people that we meet can be soulmates, right? So I kind of do feel this card is saying that like some sort of, like a person is coming in that is a blessing or could lead to blessings in your life. It could be a new soulmate, but like I said, it could be a new friend that becomes like a soulmate or something like that as well. Could even be a child. That just popped into my head because of the Empress. So if you're trying to get pregnant, there you go. You have the Empress as your crossing energy. The crossing energy can be what hurts you or helps you in a Celtic cross all year, Leo. You've been getting these cards that are asking you to do things the easy way. And as I always have to say, that does not mean that life is going to be easy. It just means that there are probably simpler ways to do things that you're doing every single day. And if you start to simplify, your life will become more simple. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean easy. It just means a little bit better, which, I wouldn't complain about that. So, she's crossing, so there might be things that you're not seeing, or there might be opportunities that you're not seeing that could make things a lot easier or a lot better. I also think there are I keep getting this message that there are just little tweaks that you could make that would really make a bigger impact in your work, and that's what I would focus on. It's kind of funny because Aquarius gets a similar message. Aquarius is your opposite sign, and we have Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is where we get our power. It can be how we express our power, how we gain power, things like that. But I feel like focusing on the small moves in work and business and career and anything else, really anything that you're doing, it's like there might be just better ways or ways that you can stand out or ways that you can get more attention. Again, I preach this stuff all the time, but I hate people that just preach, basically. I don't just preach. Go look at my latest short on my channel, right? I do the things that I say. I'm trying to get as much freaking attention as I possibly can. And of course, we want to do this positively. We don't want to get negative attention. We'll see plenty of people doing that. We've already seen plenty of people doing that. And so we want to do it in a positive way. But, again, it's like you can have a bigger impact. And, having a bigger impact for Leo is definitely going to bring in more abundance. Especially next year, Leo, Jupiter entering into your sign. Critically important that you take advantage of that Jupiter in your sign energy next year. It's going to enter into your sign, then it's going to retrograde pretty quickly back into Cancer. But then later on, it's going to move into your sign. So, really good time for you to stand out. Next, in the area of what's on your mind, you have the Ace of Wands. Yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling this because no one else has had this message except for you. But I feel that the collective is feeling this energy because we have Neptune retrograde in Pisces. When Neptune's retrograde in Pisces, we really look for inspiration. It's like we want to be excited. We want to feel good about something. It could literally be anything. It could be you want to feel good about something small too, but the Ace of Wands is out with the old, in with the new. So I feel like you're ready for new inspiration is what the Ace of Wands is saying. It's my favorite card in the deck because sometimes I think the Ace of Wands is just that one thing we need to get motivated, to move forward, to change our lives, right? It's like that spark of hope or that spark of inspiration that we need that gets us moving. And so I feel a lot of you, you could be having a lot of ideas this month. Even with Mercury retrograde, some of my best ideas ever have come from, during Mercury retrograde times. So I would be like writing your ideas down. Even if you don't get started, at least having them captured somewhere, I think would be very beneficial for you. But I also feel this is saying you're just like ready for something new. In the area of your foundation, you have the Two of Wands, which is actually pretty good in the foundation position. I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with the Two of Wands because, yeah, it's like a good card, but he's standing in a comfort zone. It can represent progress, and it can say that he's putting himself out in the world, but he has to go do that. He has to leave something behind, right? He has this wand behind him, and this wand stands on its own, and he's reaching forward and grabbing a new wand with the world, and it kind of says that he has to go set up a new kingdom. And I think we've said that to you multiple times this year, Leo, that you could almost be building a new kingdom, or kind of like building a new foundation that would make you very successful in the future. And I feel like you should. I think it would be very good for you. I do think that some of you have the opportunity to kind of like surprise yourself a little bit, not only right now, but over the next few years, like doing something you never thought you would do. The example that I give Leo, because it's like the only thing that I can think of for whatever reason, but it's like I think we're going to see a lot of Leos who like thought they were going to retire, for example, not retire. Now, obviously, not all of you are retirement age. And again, this is not a bad thing, because if you are doing that, if you're not retiring, it means that you're probably going to be doing something that not only will bring you a lot of support, but is something that you'll be enjoying. It's like I think the Leos that are going to do that are going to be doing something because they want to. It's not because you have to, right? And so, it could be like a side hustle or something like that. And again, obviously, if you're not old enough to retire, I just think that you are leaving comfort zones and kind of taking control of your life with the Two of Wands and trying to make more progress. It is a card of progress. It's also a card of taking the lead. You also have the Three of Wands here, and the Three of Wands is also a card of like leadership or taking the lead. So a lot, and you're a Leo, you are supposed to be a leader. So there you go. Next, in your past position, you have this fortune teller. It says psychic gifts, unexpected news, intuition, external forces, future, the unknown, fate, seeking answers. You have this gift of money. It says sudden financial change, windfall, small monetary increase, small win, a quick turnaround, joy over money. Love it. And even though it's coming up in the past, doesn't matter. We have the Page of Pentacles here. So it's almost like you learned something in the past that could bring you blessings. It seems to me like you're about to receive some sort of blessing. I definitely feel it's something you're going to have to put in effort for. It's not like a magical blessing, but, feels good. I think it's a good thing, Leo. Again, you have the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles is usually the seed of an idea. So coming up in the past position, it can say that you haven't yet taken action on this seed, or maybe you haven't planted it yet. But I feel the reading with the Two of Wands, Three of Wands, you have the Queen of Wands, which is great, Wheel of Fortune. It seems to me like you are about to kind of like plant a seed that brings you some blessings with the Page of Pentacles. I would definitely say, again, I'm not getting this intuitively, but just based off your astrology, this is a card, intuitively, this is a card of learning and education. He is a card of studiousness in the tarot, but I do feel also, based off your astrology, that, the next couple years would be an excellent time for you to expand your knowledge, especially during this Mercury retrograde. I always learn something new during Mercury retrogrades. I make sure, to make it a point to learn something new, because it's an amazing time to learn something new. It's an amazing time to experiment with learning something new as well, because a lot of astrologers will say don't start something new during Mercury retrograde, but it's like, really, it's the best time to learn from making mistakes. So, there you go. Next, in the area of your very near future, you have this Earth card. It says utilize logic, reason, and common sense. You have this Knight card. It says triumph over adversity. So could be overcoming some obstacles as well here, Leo. I really feel that the Earth card, utilize common sense and logic, is the Empress. She keeps things simple, right? And sometimes I think logic and common sense, it basically says that the simple answer probably is the answer, right? We have complexity bias as humans. I think I see it all the time, where people think that they have to come up with some sort of complex solution to solve a problem. I even always say it's never my crazy ideas that work. It's always like the stupid simple things that take off, that do really well, right? So I do feel these cards are saying, keep it simple. The answer can be simple, and allow it to be simple. Also in the very near future, you have the Three of Wands. Three of Wands, of course, is a card of expansion, growth, expanding out into the world. Again, with Jupiter entering into your sign next year, of course, you are going to be thinking about expansion and growth and, taking up more space and all that stuff. So it's a great time for you to focus on that and do it. He has these boats on the ocean here. And again, you have that To the Sea card. So it's definitely time for you to move differently in your life. It's time. He needs to get on those boats. Sure, Three of Wands can represent your ships coming in, but those boats are pointing out of the harbor. They're going away from his position. He has no clue where they're going. He has to take the risk of journeying into the unknown. And the To the Sea card is definitely saying that to you, Leo. I think it's saying you need to journey into the unknown. You need to explore things you've never explored before, experience things you've never experienced before. All that would be amazing for you. And, again, I think being open to discovery is what's going to lead to the blessings, because that's how you're going to discover them. It's like maybe you've been doing things the same for too long. And by doing something new and experiencing variety, your outcome card is the Seven of Cups, literally the card of experiencing variety. And, if you do that, who knows what you'll discover. Next, in your outcome row, you have this overcome card. You have basically two cards that say you're overcoming something. This and the triumph over adversity. It says conquer fear, breakthrough, and growth. You have the snakes card. It says transformation, fear, anxiety, and wisdom. Yeah, snakes represent fears. And you have the Wheel of Fortune, right? So not to skip too far ahead here, but the Wheel of Fortune has this snake on the side of the wheel. And the snake on the Wheel of Fortune represents fear, because snakes are guardians of portals. And, usually everything we want is on the other side of something we've never done before. And so the Wheel of Fortune wants you to do something new, wants you to, kind of face those fears by doing something that could be a little bit scary. And, again, we're talking about scary in the sense that you've never done it before. So I think a lot of you, Ace of Wands, you're thinking about taking an action that could be, just a little bit scary. We're not talking about super scary, but, there you go. Next, in the area of the next few months, you have the Queen of Cups. Yeah, all fixed signs are going to be focusing on their heart for the next few months. We have Uranus retrograding into Taurus. Uranus in Taurus is very heart-based. And so I think anything you can do to heal your heart, listen to your heart, follow your heart, even if it doesn't make logical sense, even though you have this card that says utilize logic and reason and common sense, I would still also sprinkle a little bit of that heart-based energy into whatever you're doing and making sure that you are in alignment with the things that you want. If you do that, you'll be more successful with the Queen of Cups. We're in an excellent time for healing. We still have the South Node in Virgo. Mercury retrograde is a great time for healing. Still have Chiron in Aries until 2026. So, I think it is a good time for you fire signs to focus on healing. Next, in the area of your closest relationships, this is all relationships in your life, even your relationship to things or, things that you do or habits or hobbies and all that other stuff and where you live, everything. You have the Wheel of Fortune. So again, I think your fortunes are clearly changing. It's there's some blessings that want to be created here. It's the universe wants to bless you, right? And I feel moving in new directions will help you with that. You could notice people coming back around here, Leo. I do get a little bit of that feeling of feeling like you were, it's almost like you're being proven right. It's you could have people who have done you dirty in the past or something coming back. I don't necessarily think you're going to do anything about it, but and I'm not even just talking about love. It's if people didn't believe in something you were working on or whatever. It's you could have a lot of people basically telling you you were right, and that could feel good. Could give you a little bit of a confidence boost with the Wheel of Fortune. I would also be The Wheel of Fortune, really what I want to say is the Wheel of Fortune is about doubling down on the good stuff. The wheel spins both directions, and the trick is to take care of things that are negative right away, to get rid of them, and to double down on the good stuff. So, it might be a good month for you to focus on putting, obviously, more energy into the people who lift you up and less into, people who don't. Next, in the area of your future feelings, you have the Queen of Wands. Pretty good. Really. You could be very attractive at this time as well, Leo. You have the Empress and the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands, the card of seduction. It doesn't matter what gender you are either. So if you're looking for love, I would definitely be putting yourself out there with the Queen of Wands. She kind of puts herself out there, tries to get attention, and, wants to stand out. So, if you're looking for love or anything, really, I would be putting yourself out there. She also kind of does her own thing. She has this sunflower. The sunflower points towards the sun. And so she moves towards love, joy, happiness, peace, good feelings. And I would use those feelings as your guide. And she doesn't really care what people think. That's the other part. She's also the card of learning as you go. So a lot of you, it seems to me like with the Ace of Wands, that you could be starting something new and kind of like that you have to learn as you go, which makes sense. You have the Seven of Cups as your outcome card. Again, Seven of Cups is, of course, about being spoiled for choice, having a lot of options. But the Seven of Cups can represent variety, and it can represent needing to experience a variety of different experiences. This Mercury retrograde is happening in Sagittarius. In Sagittarius is like adventure, foreign locations, traveling, things like that. But I also just feel that, having a variety of tools to pull from, it will make you much more successful. And again, this is a message that's been coming up a lot in 2025. It seems to me like the universe is trying to get people to give themselves more options, if that makes sense. So, it's like even in business, learning as many different ways as you can to, do whatever it is that you do will probably make you more successful because it'll give you more options, right? And so the Seven of Cups wants you to learn, like we said with the Page of Pentacles, so that you have more options. With the Two of Cups and the Empress, you have the King of Cups. So we have divine counterparts here. If you're looking for love, definitely could be a divine counterpart coming in for you. I feel like that I'm wondering, the Empress, I don't know if this is competition or if you don't feel good enough or something, Leo. With that Empress, she is crossing, so it's like maybe you don't feel good enough for a person or whatever, but I don't know. I would get out of your head because clearly we have divine counterparts here if you want love. With the Ace of Wands, you have the Ace of Wands, so there you go. Definitely hope. The Ace of Wands can be like a spark of hope or a spark of inspiration. It's coming up in the area of what's on your mind. So I do feel a lot of you are getting some sort of spark of hope or spark of inspiration or something like that. And, I would follow those inspirations with the Ace of Wands. With the Two of Wands, you have the Four of Cups. Yeah, Four of Cups. This is maybe something that could be holding you back because the Four of Cups, he's been disappointed at least 3 times before, and now he's getting another opportunity to have something he wants, but he might be afraid that he's going to be disappointed. So, getting, kind of like conquering that fear of disappointment or a potential disappointment might be something to work on. He needs to know that he has learned the lessons he needs to learn that he can apply to this new cup, and he will be perfectly fine. So it's like everything you need to know to apply to any new opportunity that comes in for you at this time, but you just have to apply the lessons and you will be successful. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, this is focus, which is actually pretty good for you here, Leo, I think, because it's coming up in the past position. Two of Pentacles can be very scattered, can be a card of spinning plates or trying to do too much or, giving the wrong things energy even. But with the Page of Pentacles and, also the rest of the reading, I feel a lot of you are maybe getting more focused, which this Mercury retrograde seems to be one that is bringing people a lot of focus. So it kind of makes sense. Mercury retrograde can absolutely make us more focused or, kind of focus on the right things. And that's what I feel like you're doing here. With the Three of Wands, you have the King of Swords. Yeah, definitely a problem with Mercury retrograde is, I said this to a couple other people this month as well. Is like King of Swords can be the curse of knowledge. It's like if you know too much, sometimes that can make you try to be perfect, or can make you a little bit of a perfectionist if you're like working on something like a project or a business. Or with the Three of Wands, he's looking out at the ocean at an opportunity. But with the King of Swords, he might be assuming that the opportunity is going to go a certain direction, but really he doesn't know. I always say with the Seven of Cups that the Seven of Cups sometimes I think can say, don't cheat yourself out of something. He's assuming how something is going to go with the Seven of Cups. He sees it in front of him in those cups. He sees the good things and the bad things, but really he doesn't know until he brings it down to earth, right? And so I kind of feel that energy here where if you're looking at an opportunity, any type of opportunity this month, it could be multiple things as well. The King of Swords might say like, yeah, sure, you have experiences, you have knowledge, you have wisdom, you've experienced things in the past, but maybe things go different. With the Queen of Cups, you have the Magician. The Magician is about manifesting, of course. Obviously, love is the best energy to manifest from, and we're not talking about a person. We're just talking about the energy of love is the thing that you can manifest more quickly with. So I would, do whatever you can to heal your heart and also operate from a heart-based perspective. I think that'll be the best thing for you. I always pull the card that the Magician is pointing to. We're going to say it's this one right here. You have this mature woman card. It says wise, older, influential woman, mother figure, which the Queen of Cups could be your mother, good advisor, boss, mentor, teacher, other woman. And so, again, I think for a lot of you that this is saying heal your heart, of course, with this. But it also said mentor. We're in the time of the mentor. King of Swords is a mentor. So it doesn't have to be a woman. It could be any gender. But it might be a good time to learn from people just in general. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Eight of Swords. If you want love, you have to set yourself free. It's even funny that I said that thing on the Empress, that you might think there's competition. That card says other woman. So if you're interested in a man, you might think there's another woman, but maybe there isn't. Maybe you don't know. Seven of Cups. I also think this is encouraging you to get out of the house, right? This is all relationships, and Eight of Swords is self-imposed restriction. So I think that opening up and socializing, being more social this month would be a really good idea. With the Queen of Wands, you have the Moon card. Yeah, the Queen of Wands, she has to stick to what she wants. She has a goal in mind, or she might know that she has to learn as she goes with what she's trying to accomplish. The moon is part of the Fool's journey. The Fool has to go from here to these mountains. And the trick with the moon is to not stop. He just has to not get distracted. These two pillars on the moon are a warning to the Fool, and they basically say that he could get distracted, or he might be getting distracted on his journey, but they tell him not to get distracted. They say, stay the course, see something through to the end. So if you're working on anything, I think as long as you stick with it, you'll be fine. With the Seven of Cups, you have the Eight of Wands. Yeah, Eight of Wands, like quick success, a quick conclusion, can also represent things happening fast or happening quickly in your life. But I think with the Seven of Cups, it would basically say that manifesting the vision on earth, or, taking the steps is what's going to make things happen quickly. And so, the Seven of Cups basically says you have to stop dreaming, which is hard to do right now because we have Neptune and Pisces. With Neptune and Pisces, all we want to do is imagine and dream. And so I would make sure that you're doing whatever you can to, manifest some sort of vision, to bring some sort of dream down to earth, whatever the case may be here, Leo. You have the Scales card. It says keep your life in balance. Yeah, Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles, again, I don't feel bad about it in your reading. I think maybe in the past you felt scattered, but, Two of Pentacles can be work hard, play hard. So whatever, make sure you're balancing the energy out if you find yourself doing more of one thing than something else, and I would just keep it in balance. You have this Lobster. It says financial pinch. I would definitely keep an eye on your finances. I think I've been talking about this since 2016. Literally, you can go back to my live, separate them out by oldest, and I used to talk about this all the time, that money would be changing by the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, somewhere around there. We will definitely see financial changes. I pretty much haven't been wrong if you've been paying attention. There are all sorts of crazy things happening. So, again, I don't think we should worry about it. I think we should just not spend our money all over the place. And if you do that, you'll be fine. You have this November card. I always clarify these monthly cards, and you have this man card. It says dealing with your relationships with a man. So again, this is a general reading. It could be any gender, but it does seem to me like a lot of you could be attracting a person this month if you're looking. Could also be a mentor as well. So, anything you can do to work together with another person would be good. You have this rabbit. It says too much concern with sexual matters. Yeah, I would be careful of anyone who's like that, Maybe you've dealt with this in the past. That's kind of the message I'm getting off of the card. So, again, you might be worried that a new person will be like this, but I don't think so. You have this bear. It says danger, especially in money matters. I'm going to pull you an extra card because, this is basically, the same thing as the, as that financial pinch card is what I'm trying to spit out here, Leo. So again, I would keep an eye on your finances. And you do have this card that says finger, warning you of a problem either now or in the future. So I would keep an eye on your finances. Again, I don't think it's something you have to worry about. I think there are blessings coming in for you, based off this reading. But it could also be saying, like, if you make a bunch of money, don't spend it all over the place, right? Put even just a little bit to the side would be a good idea. But this looks really good, Leo. I like it. Make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. And definitely enjoy your week.